Last week, of course, I was traveling a bit, but there were test screenings and rumors happening as I was traveling. We came back in and we discussed it on Thursday and on Friday. So what happened? Well, as we went over just a minute ago when we looked at the Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision newsletter, there was a test screening in Long Beach last week. People were surprised to find out it was Fantastic Four. A lot of people thought it was going to be Superman. In fact, there were reporters and there were people like viewer Anon, different, anonymous scoopers and stuff. They were saying they thought there was a Superman screening that week. There was not. It was just Fantastic Four. Okay? So this caused a whole kerfuffle. Now, the word was that the Fantastic Four screening was considered mid. Okay, now when I say mid, all these kids, everybody nowadays is all like, oh, it's bad, right? Because I think nowadays it's either like awesome or shit. And so you say mid, and a lot of people think that means it's shit. That's not really true. In fact, as we described last week, from all the reporting we have, Superman's test screening results vary wildly from people really fucking hate it to people really like it. Fantastic Four seems to be more in the middle of the road, with not a lot of people saying it's incredible, not a lot of people saying it's shit, but a lot of people saying it's okay to good. That's the mid. That's the middle of the road thing, okay? Well, I guess around Friday afternoon, somebody came forward. I don't even know who it was, but somebody came forward to say, I was at the screening. Nobody yelled that it was mid. Which, by the way, I never fucking reported that somebody stood up and yelled that it was mid. Check the tape. Never came out of my mouth. What I said was the response to the screening was middle of the road. Okay, but there were people like Daniel RPK, and I believe My Time to Shine, that started to repeat this story that somebody stood up at the end of the Fantastic Four screening and said, yeah, that shit's mid. And like Kevin Feige and Matt Shackman were right there, and they started crying like a bunch of little bitch boys. Like, that's a story that's out there, okay? Well, apparently, I don't know, that was too far for some people. And some people came forward to be like, I was there. Nobody stood up and yelled that it was mid, actually, right? And then, I guess Daniel RPK walked it back, said that nobody had actually said that, and he was just hating or something. It's weird, man. From what I understand, and I only know what I'm told, right? I wasn't there. I only know what I'm told. There's some people I talk to that I trust a lot, and then there's other people that, I know they're connected. I try to aggregate what they're saying or whatever. But, this caused a whole thing. If you saw any of this go down on Friday or Saturday, you had industry people coming forward to basically subtweet the situation. There's a guy, Luis Fernando, who I really respect, and I think he does great on the box office analyzing. He had this whole big thing that he said about screenings and how you shouldn't even talk about the results of this, that, second, and the third. Everybody got really butthurt about this whole fucking situation. Well, let me just clear it up for you. Okay, let me just clear it up for you. Nothing was, as far as I understand it, there was no inaccurate reporting. In fact, I think Daniel, and I've been told this, I think Daniel's lying. Not on Friday, but now. I think he's lying because he got so much pushback and hate and maybe even lost subscribers on his Patreon or something that he turned around and said, it's not true. I didn't hear that. I'm sorry that I'm spreading hate, this, that, second, and the third. And then he started saying, I just heard some crazy shit for Doomsday. Bro, there ain't nothing. There ain't no new crazy shit for Doomsday. Nothing. He's lying. Okay, so he's lying over the weekend. He was lying when he said that it wasn't mid. As far as I understand it, the screening was received as middle of the road. Now, as we talked about on Friday, there are all sorts of explanations for this. Number one, because they thought they were seeing Superman. That's one. Marvel doesn't test in LA. Not like this. So there were a lot of people there that thought they were going to see Superman. That's a possible explanation for why they were butthurt. Number two, it's an assembly cut. Okay? It's an assembly cut, meaning not all of the visual effects are done. Obviously, a movie that leans on its visual spectacle without finished effects, it's not going to hit the same way that its final product will. So there are all sorts of explanations, but I got to say, there seemed to be this counter narrative that started on Friday that the Fantastic Four is amazing and everybody that saw it last week thought it was amazing. Not true. Not fucking true. Not from what I've heard. And here's the thing, man. Like, I understand that the test screening and secondhand information about a test screening is like 7 layers of telephone game deep, and it's a speculative endeavor to try to decipher what that means. And frankly, it really should not have a lot of bearing on how you personally adjust your expectations. But I also think that we live in a world where that is media, that is news, that is information. And I was thinking about this because I just saw so many people getting butthurt about this. And my thing is this is alternate media, dude. The gatekeepers are fucked. They cannot control this shit at all. And maybe that's uncomfortable. And maybe it's like, oh, but all of these non-Hollywood people, they don't understand all of the little, like, you can't just take a test screening and then, make it, that's the movie and this, that, second, and third. Bro, it doesn't matter. There's media and alternative media. And if you haven't noticed, folks, alternative media is crushing the establishment, okay? And of course, we're not going to get everything perfectly right. And of course, there's context that people in this space are not going to have because they don't come from the industry or they don't have the same perspective that industry people have. But attention is like the market. And I know that sucks. And I know, and trust me, there's aspects of about the attention economy that I don't even like. But this attitude and this idea that, like, oh, dude, scoopers need to go, or like, we can't talk about certain things because the pleb ass normies aren't going to have the full context to try to like figure it out. You don't get to decide that. You don't get to decide that anymore. The narrative, the media, the stories are just going to be what alternative media grabs onto and reports. That's what it is. And I think you can have it one of two ways. I think you could have it a way where you have, just the Hollywood trade reporters and all of the gatekeepers are intact, and you will literally only get the information that the studios decide you can get. Or it's the Wild West a bit. And it's on you to try to filter through the Wild West of information to try to figure out what's actually going on and what it means for you personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with following on the reports of the test screenings themselves. I think there are going to be some people that take that way too much to heart and then maybe allow that to kind of be like a fly in the ointment or a bug in their bonnet, and it bothers them and it affects the way that they receive the film. But that's what Rotten Tomatoes has been doing for years. That's what critics were doing for years before that. Siskel and Ebert, 2 thumbs up and shit like that. It's all just a different version of the same shit that's been going on forever. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I guess there's 2 parts to this story. Number one, there's this new counter narrative that Fantastic Four is amazing and that its test screening was superb and all the shit you heard about it last week was a lie. That story's bullshit. It was mixed. People are mixed on Fantastic Four. It is considered mid. Who gives a shit? I told you in the same breath last week that despite hearing all of that, everything I heard about the movie sounded fucking amazing. I said us, the core, the hardcore people, we will love this movie. I think I will fucking love this movie. But guess what? About 36 people saw it in Long Beach last week, and they didn't love it. Oh no! It's the end of the fucking world! Holy shit. I can't believe the overreaction. And again, I think Daniel's fucking lying, dude. And the reality is, all of these anonymous people, all of these scoopers, all of these insiders, all of these leakers, the whole thing, they're human beings. Okay? I think they obviously have access to information, but they have bias. You know, they lie, they obfuscate. And this isn't even close to the first time that we've caught Daniel RPK saying some shit that is just so far removed from the truth. And he's usually doing it just to get a rise out of people, just to get engagement. Because guess what? How does he make money? Patreon and Twitter and all this other shit. And he used to sell scoops to motherfuckers all around, right? So, like, just know what it is. If you want to be an intelligent, informed viewer, then you yourself have to take in the information, filter it, decipher it, and try to figure out what it means for you. Okay? I try really hard to be as accurate as possible. I'm not going to get everything right. Of course, I thought there was a fucking Superman test screening last week. There wasn't. So did all of those people that showed up in Long Beach, you know? So it's not a purity test. It's not do or die, you know? There's wiggle room here. And I just wanted to try to, on the one hand, tell you what I think is actually going on. And then on the other hand, explain that this whole, like, reverse reaction to it is kind of wild. And I think Daniel's just panicked. I think a lot of other people are panicked. I mean, I've kind of been seeing this go a certain way for years. I'm not as panicked. I think this is probably the bottom. And I think Fantastic Four could get hurt by the current state. And I do think Doomsday will turn it around. Like, that's just kind of how I'm viewing it. But to be crystal clear about a couple of things, there was no Superman screening last week. Superman appears to be pretty much locked. Meaning a lot of the changes we talked about last week, which again were accurate, those changes seem to have been made a long time ago. There's not as much of a concern that they're scrambling. I think Gunn owes them a completely picture-locked version of the film by this Friday. And I think they'll get it. Right? So that is all one thing. This is not necessarily a scramble there. I'll tell you another thing about Fantastic Four. There is a version of the movie that's about 80% done in visual effects. That is not the version that was shown to the people in Long Beach. Marvel Studios is under no obligation to show the most recent cut of the film at a screening. Okay? So, for whatever reason, they decided to show that cut and get feedback and maybe get some research and maybe see how people responded to certain elements in the movie. We don't even know exactly what they were thinking, right? But that is what it is. It was received very middle of the road by that particular audience. I've also heard that Marvel's very pleased with the film, so this could be a Deadpool and Wolverine situation, right? Which, you know, the Hollywood Reporter, and because, like, here's the other thing. It's like, bro, I'm willing to learn, and I want to have the most informed opinion as possible. And when I cover this stuff, I absolutely want to try to get it right. But it's not some, like, fucking purity test, man. Like, we're all just trying to figure this out and have fun and be informed when it comes to all this nerdy stuff, right? But I did find it interesting that the Hollywood Reporter's talking about how there was a screening for Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, maybe this Fantastic Four thing is like that and not as much like Quantumania, which would be great. But either way, the movie comes out in 2 months. They have time to make some changes and fix some things up. It also just could be the case that, like, they play it a little safe in the film, and normies are kind of over that. I mean, we're going to find out, and we're going to find out together. So that's kind of the deal with that. I just wanted to speak to that a little bit because I saw so many butthurt folks and so many people mad about it. It's up to you. Like, you have to ultimately decide. I can't force people to watch my content. You know what I mean? I wish I could. I can't force people to watch my content. I can't force people to take what I say seriously. But that is happening. You know what I mean? Like, people do watch this show. I think you'd be surprised at who watches this show. We don't necessarily have the biggest audience. The audience we have, wildly influential. Not you plebs that are in the chat right now, but you know who you are if you're watching. You would be surprised at who watches this show. And maybe some people within that group are mad. And they don't like that maybe I'm being irresponsible or whatever. But I take this shit seriously, man. And if I fuck up, I'm going to let you know. And I'm just going to try to do the best I can to continue to report honestly and try to figure out what's going on there. You should take it all with a grain of salt. And you should try to decide for yourself, what does it mean? I'm there day 1 for Fantastic Four, and if I love it the way I think I will, I'm there day 2 and 3 as well, right? Anyway, that's the report. Thanks for watching. And if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.